What's up, guys? It's TYPB Mike. Welcome to the 9th installment of the Tackle Your Personal Best podcast. Joining me tonight is D-Train. Ron has been on hiatus. We haven't found him. We don't know where he's at. He's doing his thing. He's got the kids. He's got the wife. He's up there in Crawfordville. We don't know where he's at, but we know he's up north. It's been a while since we've actually done one of these episodes.
It's been
11
while
months
since wrong podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's been 11 months since episode 8 came out. It's been a year since episode 7 came out, which is the last time you were actually on the podcast.
The crazy thing is the What's in Your Head podcast is called the Consistently Inconsistent podcast. I'm going to have to transfer that title over to you guys.
Exactly. We have been so consistently inconsistent. It's absolutely bonkers. What is up, fella? How are you?
I am good. Be honest with you, fishing has sucked the last few months here in Cape Coral. Okay, just a little explanation for people who aren't familiar with the area. Cape Coral was built in mid-50s by a couple of swindlers named the Rosen brothers, who used to be a cosmetic company owner. And they came down here and bought up a bunch of swampland, dug about 900 miles worth of canals to drain it all, sold some real estate, made a decent amount of money, weren't happy with that. Did a few more times. They created Gateway, made a little bit more money. And then at some point, they created a place called River Ranch Acres that never existed except for on paper. Sold a bunch of property to people up Ohio and Pennsylvania. Completely swindled them. Took the money and ran. Ended up in the prison in the late 60s. But anyhow, here in Cape Coral, we have all these canals. And they're, as I said, they're for flood control. And so they're all interconnected, but they're all controlled by a semi-sophisticated lock system. And so in the summertime, it rains usually, and in the wintertime, it doesn't. So in the summertime, it's super hot. We usually get a lot of rain. It stays light out until 9 o'clock. And so you usually have a lot of fishing time. And up until now, I mean, I've only been fishing for about 4 years. And for the first 2.5 years, I did pretty decent in the summer. This year, we've had a drought. It's been hotter than hell. Most of the canals, the water is a staggering 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep, but you got 1.25 feet worth of hydrilla, so you have about 1 foot worth of kayaking water. Mm-hmm. And as you guys know, when it's 95, 98, 99, 101 all day, and the sun's shining down on 3.5 foot of water with 2 feet of hydrilla, guess what aren't biting?
I'd say the bass, Don.
And guess what we weren't catching?
I'd say the bass, Don.
Exactly. And so it's a little opposite. Wintertime's coming. Suck thing about wintertime, now it gets dark at 7:30 instead of 9:30, and when you try to go fishing after work, it sucks, but the temperature's going to drop. The rain will probably stay about the same, so the depth won't get any deeper, but because the temperature drops and spawn season and feeding seasons are right around the corner, hopefully the activity will increase.
Well, and you want to talk about consistently inconsistent. The weather has been completely and totally backwards this year. Summer, normally we get a bunch of rain. Yes, it's super hot, but this year it's been an absolute scorcher. No rain. I mean, it's rained, but barely any rain. And it's just been killing the fishing season this
But
summer,
interestingly enough, the grass is still alive. It's been raining enough just to keep my lawn from turning brown.
Just enough, right.
I did go out last weekend. We've had a lot of rain, and these same canals that are usually 1.5 feet deep, I was rolling through 6 and 7 foot deep water.
Wow.
Still didn't catch a goddamn thing. I think I caught 2 dinks on Friday, and one of them was like 1.25 pounds. And I actually took a picture of it and posted it online. Like, here's my dink.
Here's my fishy.
Unless you're fishing in farm ponds in Kentucky, you wouldn't post this picture of this 1.5 pound bass. But because I am obligated to post pictures of me fishing every week, here's what I have. It was sad, but I was proud.
Hey, if you catch anything at this point, especially in this dog days of summer like it is every year here, that's worth something.
Speaking of sad but proud,
yeah.
I caught my first peacock bass 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And that thing was probably 1/4 pound. It was tiny, but it was a fighter.
Fighting little bastards, I'm telling you.
I felt emasculated? Maybe. I don't know if that's the adjective. I don't know if that's the adjective I'm looking for. Well, because I've been doing this regularly. I catch nothing but bass, occasional tilapia, but I caught this damn thing, and I'm looking at it, and first and foremost, I caught it on a red crankbait because we've been struggling. And Carrie's like, man, we don't know how to fish. We suck. I'm like, well, we used to catch fish all the time in the summertime. What did we used to do? Well, before we had 3 or 4 tackle boxes, 2.5 years worth of monthly mystery tackle box baits. When we first started, we bought a bag of worm, some old school Strike King red crankbaits from Walmart, and we hit the road. That's all we had. And we used to pull fish out left and right with red crankbaits from Strike King you get at Walmart for $2.38.
Yep.
And I said, well, let's go back to the basics. And I put on a red crankbait, and I'm casting lip crankbait, probably 2, 3, 4 depth, but once again, the water's 1.5 feet deep. And I'm fishing off this dock. Now, the dock was right next to where this another canal butts up to the major lake, which is nothing but 4 canals intersecting to make this alleged lake. But right there, they have a water substation where they pump water out to send into the city water purification system, and where they also dump water back. Well, since they're sucking up water, they dredge that area. And so that section, there's a shelf that goes from like 1.5 feet deep down to 8 to 12 feet deep, and it's almost a straight drop where they just dug this pit. And so I'm casting along a dock there, and I get a hit. And one thing they say about peacock is they fight different than regular bass. They're more aggressive. That's why they're here.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, peacock are not indigenous to Florida. They're indigenous to God knows where, somewhere in the rainforest or some shit.
I think the Amazon, I believe.
As I said, the rainforest or some shit.
Right.
And they brought them up here to eat all the non-invasive species. And let's be honest, they'll eat the bass too. But we are up to our ass in bass. I'm from like Kentucky and Ohio where like they have to be a certain length before you can keep them. Down here. Like, look, we have so many damn bass. You can keep 6 a day as long as they're under 16 inches. Just take them, get rid of them. And so this thing, I got this thing and it's running and it's going crazy. I'm not sure what it is. And I pull it out. When its head broke the surface, it kind of looked like a bass because it's juvenile. It's not, it hadn't bloomed yet. It didn't have its full array of colors. It was white for the most part, had that normal shade of green. And I got, to be honest with you, no skill involved. I got lucky. The damn thing hit it. The front hook was not in its mouth. The rear hook had set up underneath it's in its stomach. So the only reason I got the thing is it snagged on the rear hook.
Right.
And so it falls off in my kayak, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? Because once again, it's white on the front. Does not have the telltale bulge on the forehead. It doesn't have the bright green. It had the eye on the tail, and it had the beginnings of the 3 vertical stripes. They have 3 vertical blackish green bands on them, and as they get older, they turn into a bright green. They have a red tail. This was turned out to be a butterfly peacock, but I didn't know that yet. And I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And it actually fell off the rear hook right over top of my kayak. So it's bouncing around on my kayak, and I go to pick it up, and I got my camera now mounted on the back to give a more dynamic view of my boat. And so the way I hold it, my hand's covering up half the fish because my back of my hand's facing the front of the camera. And so in the video you guys can see on YouTube, I reach around because I'm trying to get my lip locks because my intention is to put my lip locks on it so I can investigate this damn thing.
Right.
And so I couldn't get my lip locks on, and I'm looking at it all funny, and I go to grab it by the lip, and the thing wiggles out of my hand. I'm like, damn it. And I'm like, was that a peacock? And this is where I felt emasculated or confused. I don't know what adjective I'm looking for, but I was confused by the fact that I didn't know exactly what the fuck I just caught. And that bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of not knowing what a fish is because I never caught it. And so I'm going back to fishing, and I'm pondering it, and I said, I bet that was a peacock. It looked like peacock. So I said, I know. I pulled up my phone. I Googled juvenile peacock bass, and I found some photos, and I said, okay, this is it. But I didn't want to, okay, this sounds kind of dumb because it's simply a fish, but if you live in Florida and you've yet to catch a peacock bass and you've been chasing them for 2 years, you don't want to make the announcement that you caught one and someone come back and say, no, stupid, that's a cichlid. That's even worse than not knowing what the hell the thing is to begin with. And so before I post on YouTube and Facebook, I finally caught a peacock. I sent the photo of the screenshot from my GoPro because I didn't have time to take a picture of my camera because, as I said, it jumped in the water. It flopped out of my hand, and I handled it like a little baby. But anyhow, so I sent the photo to you. Didn't say anything. I just said, is this what I think it is? And you replied back, it's a peacock bass.
Mm-hmm.
Then I sent it to Ron, Jeff, and Josh. Didn't even say anything to them. I just sent them the photo, and all three of them said, actually, Ron's like, oh, look at you with the little baby fish. And then came back, I didn't say nothing. He came back and said, oh, shit, that's a peacock. And so Ron, after making fun of me for catching a little baby, realized it was a peacock. And the other two people, they all said, oh, you got your first peacock. It's like, sweet. It's been confirmed by 4 external sources, independent of each other, without me possibly seeding their brain by suggesting, is this a peacock? I just sent it. You're the only one I even remotely gave any hint to by just saying, is this what I think it is?
Yeah.
And so it was tiny, it was small, but I was fucking proud. So I finally caught one, and on a crankbait of all things. And the only reason I put a crankbait on is because that's what we catch tilapia on, because the red ones, when they float up, if you stop reeling, they float, and they look like a petal of a plant, because tilapia are vegetarian. And they're fun to catch, and they get fucking big. I mean, we've pulled in 5-pound, 6-pound tilapias. I caught a 5-pound bass I caught a 5-pound and 6-pound tilapia long before I caught a 5-pound bass. I think at that time I was at 4-pound was my max. And so that was the reason I put the crankbait on too. And I got lucky, but now I've been going, I'm like, I want to go back. I'm going to go back. So.
And it's awesome knowing that, we've confirmed it. They're here. We've heard rumors for the last couple of years that guys have been pulling them from other parts of the state and bringing them over here and things like that. But one of our team now has actually caught one in our area, and we know they're here.
Well, prior to that, I took my old GoPro and I put it underwater on a connected lake. I thought I saw one, and he was a little tiny guy. And I was like, ooh. And so on the old video, I think I said, we have peacock. But I finally caught one in Cape Coral. And I don't know. I may be the first one to have reported. I'm sure maybe someone's caught one there, but I think I'm the first one to post on the apps on FishBrain and Angler to have caught a peacock bass in that body of water in Northeast Cape Coral.
Yeah.
At least I like to pretend to make myself feel better because I didn't know what the hell I caught. Because I'm that good of a fisherman, ladies and gentlemen. I can't identify fish unless I catch it 13 times. I went out saltwater fishing. Hey, Mike, what's this? That's a mullet, you moron. Quit squeezing it so tight. But it's slippery. It's bleeding all out. You're squeezing it. It's slippery. Put it back. I took a picture. I think I couldn't post it because I was literally squeezing like, hey, look what I got. I'm bloody. It's like, no, can't post that. It's too embarrassing.
Oh. Speaking of saltwater fishing, my boat has been relocated from Fort Myers to Arcadia.
Oh, damn. It might as well be in fucking Tampa at this point.
Yeah.
Arcadia's a haul.
My family has moved up there.
Oh, that's right. They're doing the whole homesteading thing.
Yeah. They have finally got moved in and everything. Everything's been great.
They're probably the only person in Florida with a homestead extension that I know that actually has a homestead.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they finally got up there, and I was back and forth with my dad a little bit, and I was like, hey, you've got the room. Can I keep the boat up here? Because I know he can look after it. Where it was at before was, in an area where it wasn't going to be looked after as well as I would have liked, and I wasn't going to be able to get over there every single day or week or whatever to run the motor, things like that.
Can we take this moment to talk about the untalked about issue of storage facilities and inside jobs? I've grown up, my dad's always had boats. I think from the time I was in middle school till we moved down here, he's had a boat, a camper, a trailer, something parked in some big ass field with a fence around it where they charge you $25 a month, and every single one of those somebody's shit gets broken into, and it's always like the guy who gets paid to live in a camper to watch over the place. And so props to you. Not only are you saving $25, $60 a month, but you don't have to worry about the alcoholic who they pay $12 an hour, 8 hours a day, he lives on property as an added bonus.
Right.
While he's getting drunk at night and probably lighting up some meth and then go out and break into people's shit. So kudos to you on that.
No, it's secluded. It's in the woods.
That's the way we like it.
Out of sight, out of mind. So I moved it up there. Interesting story. Moving day. Had it hooked up. On the way up to there, got on 75, was driving, doing my thing, periodically checking out the mirrors, things like that, checking on the boat, making sure the tires aren't flying off or any silly shit like that. And I happened to look in my rearview mirror in my truck, and I just barely noticed something shiny flopping behind, in the road. And I went, what the hell was that? And the shape kind of gave it away, but I wasn't 100% sure. So we keep going.
Was it the seat to my kayak I lost?
Yeah. We keep going. We get down on Palm Beach. I pull over in a turn lane that is not a very popular turn lane. Just I knew I needed to get out of the way. Stopped. Lost the tag to the trailer. Broke off on 75, flopping down the fucking road.
Your license plate?
License plate
Ouch.
gone.
That's an $80 value.
I check the safety chains from the trailer to the truck. They're flopping in the breeze, creating sparks behind my truck, which is awesome. So I had all this shit going on between
What the hell happened?
I don't know.
How do you not hook up? I was getting to make fun of the guy on TikTok, but you almost
they were hooked
him.
up. No, they were hooked up. I'm not going to take that beat down. They were hooked up to the truck. They were ready to go. I always make sure that everything is proper and set and ready to go when I'm towing something behind my truck.
So we're going to just chalk this up to gremlins?
No, we're going to chalk this up to all the fucking construction that goes on in the city of Fort Myers. And let me tell you, I've had a slogan about this for a couple of years now. Fort Myers is the city of construction barrels and traffic cones.
You know who's got you beat?
Who's that?
Columbus, Ohio.
Really?
They literally named their Major League Soccer team the Columbus Crew, and the icons originally, they may have changed it, it's been around since the 90s. The original icons was road workers with hard hats, because I-90 75 on downtown Columbus was always under construction. They are called the Columbus Crew, and their original colors were high visibility yellow and black. I swear to God. Man. So they got you beat. But every town's like that, and the conspiracy is that it's a budgetary issue, meaning that if they don't spend the same amount of money every year on road repair, they lose that budget money. And every city and every state has a area they just doesn't. Every single year, we got to repair this intersection, we got to repair this spot. And another place, northern Kentucky, outside of Cincinnati and Covington, it's booming now because Google's there and all these companies are in Cincinnati. But in the 70s and 80s, when I was driving through there, that area of Erlanger and Florence was always under construction on I-71 because that was their budget loophole. That was their budget pit.
Here's my problem with this, and this is just be a little side shoot. Remember when they did the 75 widening project? It started back in like the mid 90s or early 90s.
I got here in 2004, so the short answer is no.
Short answer, no. Okay. But you were here during the process
when they did a Lico exit and they put in the off ramp to the airport.
Exactly.
Yep.
They did the widening project. It was back like the early to mid 2000s. I think they came through our area. They started down in Miami. They came all the way down Alligator Alley, came up through Collier County and came up to Lee County. And they changed all of the exits. All of the exits used to be like exit 1 all the way up to like 300 or something up in like I don't even know what
roughly 300 miles from here because that's how mile markers work.
Yeah, there you go. And they changed all the exits to whatever the mile marker is now.
Really? Hold on. I know it's a fishing podcast, but we're going to talk road construction. It took that long to do that, to make that to transition to actually labeling the exit ramps to the mile marker.
No. It basically started, like I said, down in Miami back in the mid early 90s or something, or maybe even late 90s. I don't know, but it started back then, and that was like exit 1.
Yeah. Well, I think exit 1 on 70 isn't it Key West? Isn't exit 1 down at Key West? Because it starts in Key West.
That's mile marker 1.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Usually
it's mile 0.
Okay, because usually the exit ramp is the same as the mile marker. So if you're on exit 100, that's because you're on mile 100 of the interstate.
Right, but 75 doesn't go all the way down to Key West.
Okay, so yes,
it transitions to something
I
else. I
got you.
don't
I
think
got
it's
you.
95 either, but
I got you.
75 ends in Miami,
Sure.
Dade County. Comes all the way through Alligator Alley, through Collier County, up through Lee County, and then north as it fucks off. Back then, they had changed all the exits from 1 to 300 to the mile marker numbers. So, like, our exit at Colonial used to be like 96 or something like that, and now it's 136. So that made some confusion. Here's my problem as I was going back into this originally. Every time they do a widening project or they decide they're going to make a change to a road or something like that, it always takes way too long. And by the time they get done with it, which, years as it takes to widen a road, apparently, as those years go by, more and more people move down here, and it's still not enough room to control traffic.
And the other thing is,
they're never ahead of the game.
And even though we live in Florida and it's fucking hot,
mm-hmm.
they're not willing to pay premium rates for labor, i.e., do the shit after dark when it's not 110 degrees out, but more importantly, when no one's driving on the road. Thus, you're not creating traffic during rush hour. Up in Ohio, they do that. They just cast big floodlights and they work at night. Down here, we're not paying for that shit. You guys are working in the middle of the afternoon, so we don't have to pay premium rates. And we don't care how long it takes to get done because you guys are so damn hot working in the hot sun all day. You got to take a break every 20 minutes.
Exactly. I said that to bring it back to the point of when I was moving the boat. The boat coming down, I moved it from Cypress Lake in Fort Myers up to Arcadia. I took Colonial, which was a horrible idea because they're doing that whole traffic flow project, stupid shit. And I live right next to all the construction and everything like that. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
Don't get me started because they're literally putting city water in my neighborhood and my neighborhood's cut in half right now. But anyhow.
Yeah.
It's so bad they had to relocate they've relocated my daughter's, but don't get me started on that. I've been trying to get my refinance of my home to pay for the $35,000 the city requires is taking almost 7 months. Not because of my bad credit or anything, but because it's just every other day. Oh, we need your divorce papers from 2001.
Yep.
They didn't have PDFs back then. I used to have a stack and I couldn't find it. So it took me, long story short, anyhow, my neighborhood is literally cut in half. And with the canals, now one half of the neighborhood has to go out of one exit when we used to have the ability to go out of 4, and the other half has to go out of 3. And the exit that I'm going out of is the one. And I was telling Carrie yesterday, welcome to hot road construction talk.
Yep.
I said, you figure that before they started this water project, because they literally have to dig a hole in our neighborhood to put all the piping on, that they would have checked the quality and the stability of the road that they're going to be funneling the traffic out of and increasing traffic on this 80%. Because this is the back way that goes out by the school. Yeah. So we come in that way, we never go out that way, especially in the morning and day because you have parent pickup lines and there's no lights and you have to make a left-hand turn across 4 lanes of traffic. But to that end, the road is shot already, and this just started. I mean, there's the median's falling apart. There's potholes. I'm like, they should have paved this first before increasing the traffic load on 80%. So that's going to fall apart here before soon, and then we're going to be locked in with 2 construction sites where they're going to have to patch up the damn road.
Well, and here's the problem with that. Either they do think about that, and they go, nah, it's not in the budget to do anything like that.
I don't live there. Ain't my problem.
Exactly.
Can't see it from my house.
Exactly. My point to all of that was going back to when I was moving the boat. I went down Colonial, went through all that damn, construction, the barrels, and the roads are completely uneven. They're all over the place. There's cars everywhere. I'm, hauling a boat and I'm trying to make sure I'm not hitting anything. And by the time I get into the turn lane to get on 75 to go northbound, I mean, the truck was up and down and left and right and just all over the place. So I hit that turn lane. I pulled off. I checked the license plate. Gone. Who knows where the fuck that went. And I'm looking and I'm staring at the chains and I went, son of a bitch.
It's on the back of some poor dude's car. Can't afford tags. It's like, sweet.
And I went, son of a bitch, because I hit those all, those roads are bumpy enough that my safety chains fell off. That's ridiculous. That's, I mean, I have a pretty nice truck, and if we're hitting potholes and bumps that fucking hard
Mm-hmm.
doing the speed limit or, even a little less than the speed limit, what the hell's going to happen to my suspension?
Too bad they don't sell, because obviously safety chains are pre-manufactured.
Yeah.
Too bad they don't sell like snap-ons where you can put that little spring-loaded, almost like a carabiner clamp on the end, so that when you snap it on, it can't bounce off, because it's basically an open hook, kind of like a ratchet strap, and it
Yeah.
just bounces off. Even if you
Yeah.
put it on upside down like they suggest, it still bounces off.
Yeah, no, you would have to upgrade your safety chain system in order to do
Yeah, that
that.
would suck.
Just buy new safety chains, which is not a bad idea just to keep it locked,
Duct tape's cheaper.
on
Just
your hip. Yeah. Well, what I figured out to do after that was I run the hook through my hitch, and then I
gotcha.
I hook it to a link, and that's been working so far.
Gotcha.
But anyway, safety chains fell off, fixed all that stuff, drove all the way up to Arcadia, dropped it off. Now my boat's a 2007.
Do you hold on? Do you know your license plate number?
I'm not off the top of my
You can
head.
acquire it though, because then you can be that cool guy who has the cardboard version. It's that lost tags, and you just have the number written on there.
Yeah.
Until you put it in the water, then it gets waterlogged, and you pull out, and it goes.
Yeah. I mean, the title's in my name. I've got the registration and everything. But the problem is that you would think in this day and age, you could go down or you could do all this stuff online.
You can.
No, you can't.
Not for a boat trailer, because I renewed my
Nope.
ID with an app. Didn't even have to go get.
Yep.
Took my photo and everything. Now it is
You
dumb
can
that I
do
can't have
that.
a copy of my ID on that app, so I don't have to carry a wallet. Because if I could have a copy of my driver's license on my phone, then I wouldn't carry a wallet, because I use tap to pay anyhow.
Yep. I have a buddy that works at the DMV in Charlotte County. And when I told him I lost my tag, I said, "What do I do?" I said, "Can I do this online?" He was like, "Absolutely not. You have to physically go down there and pick up a new tag."
That's dumb.
Which in this day and age, there's too many people.
Man, can my
And
ID?
it's I mean, granted, things have become more efficient at the DMV than they used to be.
I've been to hell and I spell it. I spelt the DMV. Anybody been there knows precisely what I mean.
I remember sitting as a kid with my parents for hours at the DMV.
Well, my daughter just recently got her temps, and we're working on her license, but she's always too busy playing Xbox to remind me to drive, except for when I'm taking her to work. I'm like, I can't take you driving right now. We don't have time. You got to go to work. You need to remind me 3 hours before. But she had to make an appointment, and then her and Carrie were upset that they had to sit down there so long. I said, hey, this is a very important life lesson to her. This is welcome to the speed of government.
Yeah. So that's all out of the way. I get the boat up there. That's great. The reason why I relocated the boat, not only because I knew my dad would be able to keep an eye on it and he'd be able to start the motor every now and again if I wasn't able to get up there for some reason, which, as you know, I've been up there pretty much every weekend since they moved in. And that's why I haven't been able to go kayak fishing. But I took the boat up there because I'm worried about the waters here. We just had that major hurricane. The anniversary of the storm was like a month ago.
He's talking freshwater, saltwater, ladies and gentlemen, not freshwater, saltwater.
Yeah, saltwater. The river, the Pine Island Sound, that whole area, with as much destruction and damage as we saw on the beaches, as much as we saw on our barrier islands and whatnot, I just don't want to take a chance in getting a hole in the bottom of my boat or ripping the lower unit off my motor.
Well, the possibility of hitting a tree branch, log, random tire, that's a common concern. But after hurricane, you have to worry about hitting cars, houses, sunken boats,
dead body or two,
dead bodies, telephone poles, McDonald's signs. I mean, the entire island of Fort Myer was wiped out. So our open waterways are full of small towns, essentially.
Yeah. And that's not a risk that I want to take. So I haven't actually been fishing in our inshore area since probably 4 months before the storm. So it's been almost a year and a half now since I've actually been fishing in this area for saltwater. We found some new spots. We decided, all right, we're gonna go Peace River. We're gonna fish Charlotte Harbor. You know, we're gonna figure this out up here because I've been fishing in the Pine Island Sound my entire life, and it's great. It always has been great, but fishing has been kind of shitty in this area for the
Fishing
last
ain't
5
easy.
years or so. With red tide, with all the fish kills, with Okeechobee constantly, releasing fresh water down the Caloosahatchee River and into our waterways and whatnot. And same thing on the other coast with the St. Lucie Inlet. It's completely destroying the ecosystem. So it was decided to, we need to make a change. Since they're moving up there, I'll have the opportunity to go up there a lot more often, things like that. Plus, I won't have to trailer the boat as far. So last weekend, I go up, I talked to my dad. What was it? Last week. And I said, hey, I don't know if you have any plans this weekend. Usually we're working on something or trying to fix something or whatever. And I said, well, if we don't have any plans, why don't we just go out for a couple hours and do some scouting? Sure, let's do it. So we got it all planned out. We didn't go super early in the morning. We we didn't actually get to the boat ramp until like 9 or 9:30, which is very, very surprising for us because we're usually at the boat ramp at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, out on the water by 7:30, and to our first fishing spot by 8. So we changed it up a little bit, and I can happily say I was more satisfied that day fishing for only 2 or 3 hours than I had been in a very long time. It was the
That's.
experience. Do what?
Oh, I was just going to touch on that moment. That's the downside to living in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We take our beaches for granted because we have the ability to go. I haven't been in years. But when you're fishing every single day, like if you're lucky like I am and you live a mile from 4 different boat ramps, and all you got to do is throw a kayak in the back of your boat, you can be on the water in 15 minutes.
Yep.
The whole concept of a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work kind of goes out the window. It's like, I should have fucking stayed home. Didn't catch anything. Yeah. Whereas if you're fishing once a weekend or once a month or once every 3 months, just being out on the water is enough.
Yeah. And it was almost like a euphoric feeling. Like I was like, man, I finally get to do this again.
Him and his dad were standing on the bow of their boat doing a scene from Titanic. His dad had his arms around his waist.
I swear I did it. I swear I did it. I don't know. I had the trolling motor in the water, and I was like, I spread my arms out, and I was like, I'm fucking free. I'm finally at home.
And then all of a sudden, you hear and the prop on his trolling motor is digging across the ground because he's in too shallow water.
Don't say that.
Been there.
Don't do that to me.
Hey, Mike, do you got a shallow water alarm on this thing? Sure do. Cool. 10 minutes later.
Hey, man.
Brand new trolling motor. First time out.
Hey, but that trolling motor, the shaft on that trolling motor is a lifetime warranty. So
well, everybody knows that trolling motors don't work efficiently until you get some quality wear on the propeller. A smooth propeller does not cut water properly. You need to get some gouges on it before it actually works to its efficient level. Everybody knows that.
Right.
It's called the break-in period.
We go out. We don't plan on really doing too much. We brought a couple of poles. We brought some jig heads and a couple of flukes, things like that. We didn't bring any live bait. Just went out there just to scope it out and have some fun. And that's what we did. We went down the river. I mean, it was deep enough for us the entire time. I didn't really run into any shallow water. I mean, we got down to about 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet at the minimum. And I was able to scoot right on through there without even having to move my motor.
You have a jack plate on that?
No, I want to get one at some point, but not yet.
What you do is you go down to Harbor Freight, right? You get yourself 2 pieces of 3/4 inch steel plates of some pulley systems and a winch for the front of a 4x4, right? You set the pulleys up from the back to the front. You put the winch in the front. You put the line up, and then you just hit the button on the winch, and it'll slide up your motor on the 2 brackets with the pulley system. That's all you need. And the time you pay for all the supplies on that, you could have just bought a jack plate for real.
Yeah.
I love people who make shit trying to save money, and it ends up costing them more time and labor and parts than the actual manufactured part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, we got out there. I mean, it was great. It was freeing almost. And my dad got super excited, and I was really excited. And I mean, I finally, at least we think I got the gas gauge fixed, but I have to check on a
minor technicality when dealing with open water.
Yeah. Well, I put a new fuel gauge in the boat.
Yeah, you got a trolling motor, ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you have to still have a paddle on your boat if you have a trolling motor? Do we need redundancy for redundancy's sake?
Yeah, I think that's.
I understand the law was written in the 70s when you had a single point of thrust on your boat. Now almost everybody has 2 points of thrust. I think if you have a trolling motor and an outboard motor, the paddle is just a waste of space.
Well, and when you're in a boat, my boat size and maybe a little larger, or my boat size and up, paddle's not going to do anything.
It's just a false sense. A paddle on a boat bigger than a John boat is a false sense of security, just like the gated community.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a gate. No one's going to get in. If I want to rob your house, I just park in the woods next to your gate, hop the gate. Yeah, I'm not going to drive through the front. But I love Florida. Florida's probably the only state in the union that has gated trailer parks.
But yeah, we went. God, driving distance, it would have been, it would have probably taken like a half an hour. We got almost all the way to the harbor from where we dropped in at in like 20-25 minutes maybe on boat. And my boat is a hell of a lot slower than my truck is. So we
scoped it out. What you get for buying a Nissan?
Hey now. But yeah, I mean, we got all the way down to the harbor, checked everything out, and we made it back, no issues. The little ramp that we found was not busy at all. I'm not going to mention where it was at because now it'll be busy, but there was like one other truck there when we got there, and when we left there was one truck. So,
and you're lucky that one truck wasn't parked on the boat ramp. I've seen that 3 times now.
No shit.
It's like it's not a parking spot, asshole.
Yep. Yeah, they did that one time. I think it was those jet ski dudes.
The jet skis dude did it, and then when I was out by the RC airport, there was one, and it was a 2.
I was with you on that one too.
No, you weren't there this time because this is the second time. Carrie and I were there, and a guy came in on a bass boat, and the trailer's parked there, and he was waiting. He said, "I've seen this asshole before. These guys are out on jet skis as well." And I start talking to the guy. If he didn't have a trailer, like if it was me putting my kayak, there's plenty of room, but there wasn't enough room because this is not a concrete municipal boat ramp. This is a Cape Coral. Someone took a front loader, bulldozer, just dug a path in the sand down to the water. It's a lane and a half at best.
Yeah.
And 2 trucks can fit in tight, but 2 trailers, there's no way, not with the width of the boats. And so he was waiting there, and we were talking, and he was getting more and more steamed. The jet skis guys came back, and they put the boat on the trailer, and the jet ski on the trailer, then winch it down, and I'm talking to the bass boat guy, and we're being passive aggressive, and he's mean mugging them. Well, these guys pick up on the fact that we're being passive aggressive to them and mean mugging them. So what they do, they put all their shit in their boat, and then they come out and they stand by the jet ski and get on their phones.
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Are you going to move that piece of shit?" And then all of a sudden, it was like we were the biggest assholes in the world because we verbally said something to these entitled 24-year-olds, and it almost broke out into a fight. But I could tell by the old man with the bass boat's demeanor this guy he was too young to be a Vietnam vet, but I think he was probably a Gulf War vet. He clearly spent some time in the military. I'm 40. He was probably mid 60s. He kind of acted like he was waiting to dust off his tussling fist, and he was looking for a fight. And then only reason I left, he said, you know what? Fuck this. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to back my trailer, block off this boat ramp. I'm going to go fishing for another fucking 2 hours. And he started walking towards his truck because he was going to pull his trailer down and just block them in. And then that's the only reason they left. You could have asked us to leave. I'm like, dude, you guys parked your car on a fucking boat ramp.
Yep.
Not only did you stand there after you loaded up your jet ski, you were parked there for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours before. It is not a public parking spot. Yeah. It is a place. You don't go park your car at the white zone in front of the airport. No, you drop your fucking people off, you give them their luggage, and you hit the road. It's not a long-term parking, assholes.
No shit. Yep.
Oh, people suck.
But yeah, this was a, it's a kind of a rundown boat ramp, but it was clear, which was awesome. So, decided, we got back, cleaned everything off. Then we made a decision, well, why don't we just go out tomorrow morning too? And we'll actually try to do some real fishing and see what we could do. So we did that. We loaded the boat back up, went back out there the next day, went fishing. I hooked about 18 to 20 inch snook and lost him.
What'd you have him on?
It was a jig head with a fluke, white pearl fluke.
I always lose my snook. I think I've never caught a snook. I've handled yours, but I've never caught one.
Yeah, but I found a good spot out there that's nice and deep, but also right by the mangroves, which is where they like to hang out. So that's awesome. Got back in, ended up coming down the road, and again, public roads, bumpy, things like that. We get back to the house, and my dad, we cleaned up the boat, and I was moving it back to where I park it, and he was like, sounds like your fender is like bent or something like that. It's like, all right, let's look. So we park it. We look over at it. Fucking leaf spring broke.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I
wonder if that's what caused was your license plate on the fender well?
Opposite side. Yeah, opposite leaf spring. And I was looking at, they're both rusted and, they needed to be replaced anyway.
All jokes aside, you could probably get one at Harbor Freight and Tool.
Harbor Freight?
Yeah, because I know they sell like utility trailer rims and tires there, and they sell everything else. You can probably get a new leaf spring for a boat trailer at Harbor Freight and Tool. Well,
I've decided I'm going to redo both of them because they're both rusty. I'm going to get new U-bolts and all that stuff. So
yeah, something like that, unless buying one is really overextending your monthly budget. Something like that, it's like they're manufactured on the same date. If one's going in the water, the other one's going in the water, so they've seen the same amount of exposure. And if one's already blown out, you're probably high likelihood the next one's going to go out in the next 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows? They're probably original, and they're shot.
And so you put them in salt water all the time.
Exactly. So I'm going to get some new ones, get them replaced, do some upgrading to the boat, do some upgrading to the trailer, things like that. So
as bad as your horror story is, I saw a TikTok that was worse.
Yeah.
There's a TikTok video somebody pulled from the surveillance of their garage at home. Guy clearly has some money. Maybe he runs a construction company because he it looks like one of those residential garages that someone built to put their like dump truck in. It has like the 12-foot tall garage door and all that. He backs in, hooks up his bass boat. They don't show that part. They just show him pulling out, and he was in a little cockeyed, so he kind of merged to the right. The trailer went out, and then as he went to make the right dog leg out of his garage, the trailer comes off, safety chains and all. The bass boat continues to roll straight down his garage, down his driveway. He panics, gets out of his truck without putting it in park. So as he's running after his boat, I don't know what the fuck you think you're going to do. You're going to grab onto the fucking lip and just let it drag you. But as he's chasing his boat, his truck is idling out into the road to the right. So not only did he send his boat out into the street, directly in front of his house or to his neighbor's yard. He sent this truck idling down the road. So it's like, oh, your insurance company's going to really hate you. I need to file my claim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you get in an accident while pulling your boat? Kinda. My boat hit a car over there, and then my truck hit a car 30 feet away.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for an insurance claim.
Yeah. Oh, and I bundle it with my homeowner's insurance, and the boat took out my yard lamp and ran over my rhododendrons. I need to file a claim on that.
Oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I got on my list for this episode. What I think we need to do is do some throw some promos out there. You've got your affiliations. Who you got?
I'm affiliated with the affiliated. No, some of you probably don't know this. Most of you probably don't know this because you don't know who the hell I am. I have, not to blow my own horn, but I'm going to, because if you want to hear somebody hear your music, sometimes you got to toot your own horn. You like that? I made that up. You can put that on a shirt. I'll only take 10%.
We can put that on a shirt.
I've only been fishing now for maybe going on 4 years, but I'd only been fishing for 2.5 years before I became a Cast King brand ambassador because I'd caught enough large fish. And so recently, and by the way, this was full retail price, had nothing to do with anything. My headphones just cut out on me. Oh, that's why the power cable's hold on a second. Two great things about Cast King. One, their slogan is affordable fishing innovations. And how I became to know them real quick, started fishing as a kind of a YouTube channel content necessity. I bought a used kayak for $150. I asked people on TikTok, should I fish here? Look at all these lily pads. They said yes. I went down to Walmart, bought a $30 fishing pole combo, bag of $3 worms, caught 5 fish that day, and I was hooked. Because growing up in Kentucky, I went out bass fishing, never caught a goddamn bass. I go out in Cape Coral one time, catch 5 dinks in one day. So fast forward, I want to get into the bait casting world because I see bait casting is the way to go. And I don't know the first thing about them because I just started fishing. I've only been fishing like 4 or 5 months. At this point, I'd already... I was so new that when I did get a bait caster, I put it on a casting reel not knowing the difference. So, like, if you look at my early YouTube videos, you'll see me fishing with casting bait casters on Abu Garcia spinning rods. I've done it. You know what the biggest problem is with doing that?
What?
And I never thought about this, on spinning reels, because your line does that wide spin, the first 2 eyes are fucking huge.
Yeah. And
so when you put a bait caster on that line's kind of going like this in that first 2 rings, and it really causes a lot of bird's nest. Other than that, it works fine. So anyhow, when I was looking for my first bait caster, I just went on Amazon and I just typed in bait caster, and $250, $150, $89. I'm like, I can't afford that. So I typed affordable bait casters. And there were some came up. Then I saw this brand called Cast King, and I started looking at reviews. I bought my first. It was a Cast King Valiant Eagle. I paid $49 for it retail. Boom. Okay, I can afford, because I talked to my cousin about fishing. Oh, bait casters is fine if you can stand the learning curve. Okay, well, and you talk to people who don't fish a lot, but they've tried it in the past. They've tried bait casters, and they deal with birds. Oh, bait casters suck. So I wasn't willing to drop $80, not that I could afford it at the time, but I wasn't willing to drop $80, $150 on something that I didn't know if I would continue to use because I got frustrated with the learning curve.
Yeah.
So anyhow, long story short, bought Cast King, loved it. The quality was there. Carrie wanted one because she was jealous how fast I could cast. That's why they're called bait casters. Bought her to the same effing one because it was cheap. Fast forward, we have 2 or 3 of them. I started buying other stuff and then became a ambassador. But I say all that to say this. You can go to Cast King's website. I'm going there right now, and I feel like we're just doing a long commercial for them, but I'm not. This is truly awesome. So I'm on there now, and I'm just going to go to casting reels. Right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of 2 pages, they currently have 5 reels on sale. And a few months back, I went on there, and I had seen, this thing's rigged up. I really need to take it off my pole before I put it through the ceiling fan. But I was in there a few months back, and they had the Bassinator Elite on sale. Right now, this is let me see, the Bassinator Elite right now, because it is not on sale. Right now, okay, it's still pretty cheap. Right now on Amazon, you can get the same reel for $74. But it was on sale, and I got it for $49 when it was on sale. Let me give you the brief description from Amazon on the Bassinator. Bassinator Elite concept, designed for competition, engineered for the win. Advanced Bassinator Elite Classic Baitcaster reel develops pro-level performance for anglers like MLF Tournament, Bass Pro, Bass Elite, AOA Brent Chapman, the Bassinator Classic casting reel. It was developed in a series of tournaments, ready for fishing reels for peak bass performance, yada, yada, yada. So it has a carbon fiber reel handle on it, or spool, whatever you call that mechanism that holds the fucking thumb dilly boppers. See, I told you I'm a great angler. I'm a great product spokesman. So you have your thumb dilly boppers, and they're mounted to that horizontal thing, but that's carbon fiber. It has your standard front brake on it, has your standard drag adjustment, but the rear brake, there's nothing there. And the reason for that is it has an opening, and in there is 6, maybe 8 dip switches. It's on and off. And they're color coordinated. And you can go in there and just take your finger and turn it on or off. And that's how you adjust the brake. This thing is so light, and when you reel it, you don't even feel, let alone hear, the gear mechanism. So if you're not feeling the gear mechanism, that means that gear mechanism sound's also not telegraphing down your line and into the water. Super quiet, super light, almost a little too light. I originally bought it with the concept of putting on my new Cast King Cliff Crochet spiral medium heavy rod, which is what I use on all my top water that I catch all my hogs on. Because after all, it's called the Bassinator. But what I discovered was with the dip switch on and off rear braking system, it made more sense to use it as my worm flipping reel, because even if you put a weight on there, most of your soft baits are going to, within an ounce or two, relatively weigh the same weight. And so I don't have to worry about popping that cap, hitting a dip switch, figuring out, okay, I need to turn on 3 blues, turn off 1 white, because there's I think 8 of them or 6 of them, and they're color coordinators, like 2 yellows, 2 blues, and they're across from each other. So you can kind of figure out, okay, if I turn on all the reds, but maybe turn off the yellow and 1 red, and you can figure it out. It's really easy to figure out. I did no research. I just dicked with it for 10 minutes and sorted it out. But what I figured out is using it for my top water, at least for me, going from a heavy ass Guggen Revolver Whopper Plopper to like a Z-Man chatterbait, whether I have a trailer on it, and if that trailer is a small zoom worm or large, the weights can change dramatically. And if you have that large weight change, you have to adjust that rear brake to prevent from getting backdrop. Also, you got to adjust the front. But if you're going from a zoom worm to a yum worm to a bandito bug to a fluke, it's relatively, you might adjust the front drop, but you don't really have to dick with the back. And so it made more sense, and plus how light it is. Now it is, let's see here, specs on it, 10-to-1 double shielded SS ball bearings, has the centrifuge rear brakes. That braking system is a centrifuge. And every once in a while, if you cast it and then go right to reeling, you can feel that centrifuge hasn't relaxed yet, kind of like a clutch system on a dirt bike. Yeah. As it speeds up, it opens up. And so if you go from a cast or reeling right away, there's still a little bit of restriction until that centrifuge kind of comes back in, but you get used to that. Yeah. But it's super light. It's awesome. And so I have that, and it's on my older Cast King. I should have all these memorized, but I got 6 goddamn poles now. This is the Perils 2 medium. No, this is a light action fast. This is my worm flipping reel. And so I have that one, and then I have my... I'm trying to think which one I retired. My Royal Legend and my Royal Legend GT. I have the Royal Legend GT on a Royal Select medium fast that I put my crankbaits on, my lipless crankbaits, my chatterbaits, and then I have my heavy medium Cliff Crochet that I put my heavy ass top waters on, and all that stuff. And so that allows me on the kayak, when I have my bait ADD, I can just switch from one pole to the other without actually tying on baits. I try to have one setup for each kind of my worm flipping, my top water, and they're kind of suspended. So I want either a lipless crankbait or a lipped crankbait, something in between the worm and the top water. So that way I can just
Yeah.
rotate easily.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
And I've yet to catch a big one on it. That's one I did catch. I did not catch the Peacock on that one. This is the one I caught the 1.25 pound last Friday on. So I'm waiting to break in and get the nice big fish on there so I can brag about it. But it is a great rod. It is a little light, especially when you're big as me. But it's just one of the things you got used to. But it's perfect for worm flipping and finesse fishing.
Nice.
It has just and once again, when you reel it in, you don't feel it or hear it, so you don't have to worry about that telegraphing down the line to startle the fish or what have you.
Right.
Or
right.
interrupt the sound that the bait is trying to generate.
Yeah.
And so,
well, that's awesome. It sounds like a great rig to have. Something that the listeners and viewers and whatnot should look into and possibly purchase, especially beginners that are trying to get into bait casters and whatnot. Casking is definitely a great brand.
Speaking of that, before we wrap it up, I know you got some plugs to get in, but if you're just getting into fishing, I cannot express the importance of, especially if you're using braid scissors. Some people even go the route of fingernail clippers, which is fine too.
Yeah.
Braid clippers are huge, but more importantly, especially if you're going to go on a trip, whether it's 2 hours away. When you, Ron, and I went up to Lake Okeechobee and I caught that 8.75 pound bass, that night we were at the condo and you were taking a shower, and I think shortly after I caught that bass, I had a really bad backlash on my reel, and we went to Walmart and we got new line.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a spool tensioner. And so Ron's doing the old, hey, I'll hold it with my fingers and squeeze it as tight as I can. I've recently seen videos on TikTok where people are putting water in a pot and they run the line through the glass pot lid, through the air hole. Mm-hmm. And that works in a pinch, but it doesn't put the correct amount of tension on there, especially for a bait caster.
Right.
Spinning reel, you can kind of get away with that, but a bait caster, if you don't have it real taut, you're just going to throw a bird's nest right away.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's Cast King or any other brand, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a mobile. Now, I did start out with one that's clamped to my bench, has a spring tensioner, and it works well, but in this case, I couldn't take that to the hotel. So this is the Cast King Universal. It has one end for spinning reel, one end for bait caster. You literally take this guy out, take your line. Now, the more important thing is, too, they give you these nice branded bands to put on the line to keep it from falling off the reel. That's the other big pain in the ass is with my desktop tensioner, the line would jump off the reel and then get wrapped up. It was a nightmare. You literally just take this guy, put it through here, you clamp this on your pole, right? And then you just put it on your reel and it has just the correct amount of tension and it takes up no room. It's nice and collapsible, fits in your tackle bag. I think the retail price on this, here, let me not think. Let me just go on Amazon and tell you exactly what it is. Because you can get on their website. The nice thing about their website will actually take you to Amazon so you can get your free shipping through your Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. Let's see, Cast King reel spooler. Go ahead and talk while I look for this.
So a couple of my plugs I want to throw out there. I've been pro staff for them for a couple of years now, I think. Angler tungsten, any kind of tungsten weights or anything like that. If you're into tungsten and you like having that feel and things like that, you can use a promo code tungsten10. That's capital TUNGSTEN 10 at anglertungsten.com. Another plug for me is going to be for Shredfin Fishing Company. It's a clothing brand that they're trying to be and put themselves out there. You can use the code SHRED15, capital SHRED 15 and those are my plugs for this podcast. So
you can get this on Amazon for almost less than a price of a large roll of braid. $13.85.
Nice.
No reason not to have this. And
Absolutely.
when I bought this for Carrie for Christmas, they had a package deal going on that you can get this with the braid scissors for like $24.
Nice.
Braid scissors, another thing to have, whether Cast King or anybody else, but once again, we're talking about affordable innovation. You can get these on Amazon right now for $8.51. There's almost not a reason not to have these two items. You know, you may not need this in your boat, but it's still nice to have in your garage when you're needing to respool your lines. And so these are two items. Don't wait on getting, especially if you're fishing. If you find yourself in the hobby and you're doing it once, twice, 3 times a week, especially using braid, you'll talk to people, oh, I only put fishing line on once every 6 months. Well, that's because you're fishing 6 times that 6 months.
Yeah.
If you're fishing 5 times a week, 3 or 4 times a day, 3 or 4 hours a day, your braid is going to get, one, let's be honest, every time you tie on a new line, you're cutting 6 inches of line off, right? Every time you tie on a new bait, you're losing about 3 to 6 inches of line. That adds up quickly. But two, you'll get your occasional knots, backlashes, and they just plain dry rot. And so you're probably going to be changing your line probably once a month, if not once every 2 months. So there's no reason not to have this, because if you don't and you just have the wife put it on a pencil and put her thumbs on it, you're going to get backlashes, especially on a bait caster. So those are two very affordable things. I mean, these I think are cheaper than a bag of Z-Man soft baits at Bass Pro Shop. So do yourself a favor and pick those up. And I don't have a promo code, but shout out to Cast King.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us on this episode. Thank you for tuning in. For everybody, Don, where can everybody find you on your socials?
You can find me. You can find actually all of our podcasts here on the Digital 410 Network at d-410.com. You can find a link to Tackle Your Personal Best. We've been doing a little website maintenance. I think if people go to tackleyourpersonalbest.com, it takes you to your store, not your actual website right now. So just go to d-410.com, click on the Tackle Your Personal Best button on the homepage. It'll take you to his website. But as far as Facebook, Instagram, and all that, you can find me on Facebook on my public profile handle under D-Train. That's just D-TRAIN. It's a little more convoluted on Instagram. It's actually... my name on there is going to be under D-Train 410. So it's the same D-Train, but 410. And you can find everything we do at d-410.com. And if you're listening to this on audio, do me a huge favor. Go to youtube.com, look up D410 Media, or you can still type in Digital 410. It'll pull us up. Like, subscribe, watch our videos. I got a channel on there called Poles and Paddles. It's all fishing stuff. You can also watch our other podcasts there. And that's the way you can support the show and what we do here without paying anything out of pocket. Look, shit's expensive right now. I get it. So I can understand if, that's the way you can support us. Just please go watch our videos. It helps tremendously. You can also help us by going to d-410.com, click on a Patreon link, sign up and subscribe. It's $1 a month for the cheapest tier. We have one at $7.50. After 2 months, you get a free t-shirt. Right now, at the end of November and probably in January, if you're not a World War II fan, that's fine. But if you know somebody in your family, we're giving away at the end of November one of 2 prints. That's a print of an original drawing of the Marine Corps landing on Peleliu during World War II. These prints sell for $454. These were donated to us by Henry Sledge, the son of E.B. Sledge. And it doesn't matter if you sign up for the $7.50 a month plan or the $1 a month plan. Anybody who has an active paid subscription on our Patreon account by the end of November, name will get put into a hopper, and one person will get their name draw and win that print. And we're going to do it again with a second one, different print, same series from Valor Studios. People put them out. We're going to give that one away probably, I think maybe at the end of December or maybe mid-January. I want to put a little bit of time in between so people have time to sign up. So if you know anybody in your family that's a World War II aficionado, that would make a fantastic Christmas gift or a early January post-Christmas gift. They'll be floored, especially you go and get the thing put in a frame. So you can go subscribe and get registered for that. And that's pretty much it.
Yep. Like I said, thanks guys for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching all that stuff. And we will see you on the next episode. Don, as always, pleasure. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks.